Hi guys, my name is Ryan, and for our presentation, I did Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay. And for those who don't know, this is a TV show that used to air on Fox. And Gordon goes to failing restaurants and attempts to turn them around by fixing whatever problems he tends to find. Before we start, I do want to apologize for the quality of the pictures because the Hulu would not allow me to screenshot anything, which I kind of frustratingly found out this morning. But I tend to take pictures of my computer screen in order to do this TV show, so I hope it's okay, but it is a little bit low quality, so I do apologize. But uh, right into the background here. So what we're going to be doing is looking at 3 episodes, and I really like the way the food works within the community. Each of these restaurants are in different places in the United States, and I really like how these episodes highlight the food that the community wants versus the food that the owners give them, and the power that that holds to really just fail their business, and then the business side of things when they cut costs and that kind of stuff for their food. But the 3 episodes are right there if you want to watch them yourself. There's a couple quotes from Food Inc. that I think really show why these restaurants are failing. Is kind of the basis of capitalism, right? So it's that we all are voting for, with our dollar what we want, and if these restaurants aren't providing what we want, then they're going to fail. So I think that's important to know before we jump into these. So let's go to the first one. It's called Sebastian's. It's in Los Angeles, outside a couple movie studios, and that's the owner there on the left, Sebastian, talking to Gordon. His restaurant doesn't have any decor problems or anything like that. It's in pretty good shape, pretty good location. So what is the problem with this restaurant? Well, let's look at the menu first, because this menu, 3 pages, and that's not like 3 pages of options. That's 3 pages to describe how you're gonna order your food. That poor waitress is trying to explain it, and I'm gonna do my best here too. So you have like 20 to 23 flavor combinations that you can put on 4 different kinds of meats, and I guess that goes on top of pizza. Uh, and you can kind of tell how that's really confusing for these customers, and not really what they want in a business, or like for a lunch or anything like that, right? So and every time they come in here, the waiters and the waitresses have to explain that to them, which is totally frustrating. But the business itself, I feel like this owner really doesn't care about the restaurant as much as he wants just a popular place for people to come and hang out. And he ends up cutting a lot of costs, such as the freshness of the ingredients, which you'll see in almost all these restaurants, is they tend to cut quality first to save money. But this guy has like a wood-fired oven that he doesn't use, and that's him trying to explain the menu to Gordon, and Gordon looking at him like he's crazy. And yeah, it's and to boot, like also the owner wants to franchise his food as if it's successful already, and Gordon's like, dude, you can't franchise something that isn't successful. Like if no one's gonna buy it here, no one's gonna buy it like all across America. So the owner's kind of delusional. But at the end of the episode, Gordon's transformation kind of changes the menu to something a lot more simple, using fresh ingredients to cook pizzas, and they cook it in the oven that it's intended to be cooked in, and um, really showing like the kind of food and the kind of quality that the community wants out of this place. The next place is called Zeke's, and Zeke's is named after the old owner, named Zeke, and he unfortunately died in Hurricane Katrina. And after he died, those two at the top, Ellen and Daryl, who were married, buy this restaurant. And Zeke's used to be a very, very successful local restaurant. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's in New Orleans, and the so what you expect out of New Orleans local restaurants, probably a lot of fresh seafood and a lot of fresh ingredients, and cooked with some passion out of local chefs. And those two on the bottom are Daryl and, or I'm sorry, Emil and Jason. Um, and they have a ton of passion for the food that they cook. However, they're kind of held back in terms of what they're allowed to do. And Daryl ends up cutting a lot of the quality in the food, and ends up raising the menu prices also. And it's really frustrating for those chefs, and ends up alienating this community who used to love this restaurant but now refuses to go to it because they're paying more for a low quality product. And on that business side of things, like he portions everything, very much into pinching pennies, and he doesn't let his chefs do any of the decision making. It's always on him. So Gordon at the end has the chefs cook a delicious looking meal on the right there, brings back the fresh seafood, and he serves that meal to the owners, claiming it's him. Owners love it, obviously, and say how good it is, and then he's like, well, it's your boys in the back there who cooked that, so you really need to allow them to make the decisions back there and allow them to use their passion to make delicious local food. That's obviously back to the roots of what that community wants out of a meal. And the last one we'll talk about is Mill Street Bistro. This one's located in Norwalk, Ohio, which is farm country. When you think about farm country, you think fresh meat, especially like local fresh meat. And this owner claims for his restaurant that it's farm to table, but in reality, it's nothing, or it can't be further from the truth. So the owner up there is Joe Nagy, top right, all the way on the right in the blue collared shirt, and he has a really nice restaurant, but unfortunately mistreats his staff and mistreats the food and the quality. Freezes a lot of things, reuses a lot of things, and he also personally takes control of the kitchen. However, he's not a chef, and his food is really low standard because of that. And he's kind of delusional. He claims that he's trained by European chefs and he's all this experience, but he's just lying. Um, and his menu is just a disaster. Like it has an elk quesadilla on it, which if you were to go to a restaurant in Ohio that's farm to table and you see an elk quesadilla, I mean, maybe it's like, wow, like that's weird, but if you order it and then you see what it actually looks like, it's completely disgusting. Not to mention like the other things that are served, like that scallops on croute at the bottom there, which Gordon takes one bite and he can tell it's frozen scallops, but the guy lies to him. And the pastry is raw, so it's not cooked well. And then Joe really runs his business just in a way that alienates the community because he raises the menu prices to the point where he's trying to become this restaurant that is like a high-end restaurant for the community, but that's not what they want. They want local fresh food, and he ends up trying to make it into a like I said, like high-end bistro that only like the top of the community can go to, and refuses to sell like a $10 burger to the on the menu because he doesn't want to attract that kind of business, which is obviously ridiculous. And then, like I mentioned, the frozen, like getting rid of the quality, and then he makes his servers wear these ridiculous name tags, which Gordon gets rid of almost immediately. But to transform it, he adds more freshness. Actually, uses like real catch of the day fish, like right out of the lake. Gets rid of some stupid rules, like the quiet sign in the kitchen, which basically the chefs weren't allowed to talk to each other when they were cooking. So transforming more like the atmosphere and the food. And so, what I think is important for all these restaurants is Gordon had to change the food, and the food was really what was driving all these restaurants into the ground, was because of the lack of quality, which really goes to show the power that it has. But a couple of citations to finish it off. Thanks for watching. Did go a little bit over about 9 minutes right now, but thanks for watching, and I did learn a lot rewatching these episodes, which I've seen before, because I used to just like watching Gordon yell at people in his accent. I thought it was hilarious. But now watching it again, looking at like the food, and really almost every single episode of Kitchen Nightmares, the problem starts with the food. There's a couple where they're actually making really good food, but like the restaurant itself is in terrible condition or something like that, or like terrible location. Um, but it always comes back to the food for most of them. So just looking at the power that it has, definitely opened my eyes from this class. So thanks for watching, and have a good one, guys.